President Donald Trump claims that the United States has given the Islamic Republic what he called its last chance to reach a nuclear agreement, warning that failure to do so could lead to devastating military action. Speaking at the White House, Trump claimed renewed talks with Tehran are moving forward, but described them as Iran's final opportunity to sign a deal before decapitation. ILTV's Steve Leibowitz has the latest.
President Trump claimed he had been prepared to launch what he said would have been the largest U.S. strikes since World War II, but agreed to delay action after appeals from Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Qatar, who said a diplomatic breakthrough was within reach. Trump asserted the negotiations are expected to move quickly and reiterated his two demands that Iran give up its nuclear weapons ambitions and agree to a broader security understanding with Washington. The president also rejected Iranian claims of control over the Strait of Hormuz, saying the waterway is effectively controlled by the U.S. Navy, and vowed that Tehran will not be allowed to impose tolls on international shipping.
Are the talks with Iran now off and are airstrikes back on?
No, they're on. They're going on right now. It's an amazing thing. We have a little problem with Iran because we have many talks and we'll say we have or we don't have. You know, we're straight about it. But they deny. But they're not denying it now. They just put out a statement not denying it. But for some reason, they, when they're talking, they don't like saying that they're talking. So I say, we're in talks. Big deal. We're in talks. And they'll sometimes deny it, even though they spend hours and hours together talking. No, the talks are going along. We're going to hit them very hard yesterday, very, very hard, harder than any attack. I think I can say, General, from a point of knowledge, any attack since World War II. That's pretty big.
Earlier, in a post on Truth Social, Trump accused Iran's leadership of being unbelievably duplicitous, saying they privately request negotiations while publicly deny that talks are taking place. He warned that no relief will come to Iran unless it reaches an agreement or accepts what he called a total surrender. Diplomatic efforts are reportedly continuing to reopen shipping through the Strait of Hormuz as Iran and Oman edge toward a possible agreement. Tehran also says the strait will remain closed until Washington lifts its naval blockade of Iranian ports and returns to broader diplomatic negotiations. For now, the diplomats are still talking, but in Israel, few believe the window for a peaceful solution to the Iranian nuclear threat will remain open much longer.
As the Board of Peace pushes for a deal to end the Gaza war, Israel is making clear there will be no major military withdrawal until Hamas is fully disarmed. That message was reinforced as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with the U.S.-backed Board of Peace in Jerusalem. ILTV's Devo Klein has the report.
The U.S.-backed Board of Peace appears to have toughened its position on disarming Hamas following talks with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. After meeting in the Prime Minister's office in Jerusalem, board officials said the IDF will not withdraw beyond the so-called yellow line until Hamas has completed the decommissioning of its weapons, including light and heavy arms, as well as its tunnel network. The updated language marks a shift from earlier proposals that envisioned a phased Israeli withdrawal taking place alongside Hamas disarmament. Israel has insisted from the start that any IDF pullback must come only after Hamas has been fully disarmed. According to Israeli reports, Netanyahu told board representatives that Israel will continue military operations in Gaza and will not pull back while Hamas remains a threat. Israel also presented a series of reservations about the plan, including opposition to Qatar and Turkey playing a role in monitoring Hamas's disarmament, and also demanded that terrorist weapons be destroyed rather than simply stored. Even as international efforts continue to advance a U.S.-backed ceasefire, the IDF says it is continuing to target terrorists who pose an immediate threat to Israel's security. The IDF says it killed 2 Hamas terrorists, including Abdallah Adnan Taha Abu al-Taif, a member of Hamas's Nukhba force, who participated in the October 7th attacks on Israel. The IDF added that it also eliminated Palestinian Islamic Jihad terrorist Mahmoud Fatir, who took part in the October 7th massacre, held captive former hostage Ron Barslavsky, and appeared in several Hamas hostage release ceremonies. Following the strike, Barslavsky released a video message in Arabic praising the operation, saying those who were responsible for his captivity were being eliminated, quote, one by one, while also thanking the IDF for continuing its campaign against the terror group.
President Trump says the regime is on its last chance to make a deal. But after months of red lines, delays, and threats, is Tehran taking U.S. threats seriously? Well, joining me now to discuss just that is Mike Pregent, the senior Middle East analyst, former U.S. military intelligence officer, and former advisor to CENTCOM commanders. Mike, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast. Always great to have you on. To start, President Trump says this is the regime's last chance to reach a deal after repeated threats of military action. Do you think that Tehran believes the U.S. will actually take action?
Well, we've heard this many times before, unfortunately, and each time the president says he's going to do something, the regime asks for a pause. They plead for a pause. That pause results in concessions, and the regime continues to survive, reposition assets, and continue to threaten our allies, its neighbors, and the Strait of Hormuz. So, the last chance, we've heard that. We've also heard this is going to be the best deal. We've heard that a bunch of times already. What's most concerning to me are these leaks in the press where we're talking about depleting our offensive capabilities when it comes to missiles, and also our defensive capabilities when it comes to missiles. And that's very concerning. Iran's taking advantage of that. But I really think we need to stop listening to Qatar. We need to stop listening to Turkey, to Oman and Saudi Arabia, and do what's best for the United States, do what's best for our ally Israel, and do what's best for our European allies that don't see Iran as a threat at the moment.
I do want to talk more about Qatar, but first I want to move to Gaza. The Board of Peace appears to have adopted Israel's position that there will be no IDF withdrawal until Hamas is indeed disarmed. But Israel's also rejected proposals that would have Qatar or Turkey oversee Hamas's disarmament, at least in part, we are insisting in Israel that the weapons be destroyed and not stored. Should Israel be concerned about the involvement of Qatar and possibly other countries like Turkey in this project in the Board of Peace?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the two main sponsors of the Muslim Brotherhood, which Hamas is an offshoot of, are Qatar and Turkey. And we keep hearing this caveated language. The IDF will withdraw, but only after Hamas has started to disarm. Hamas believes Israel has to withdraw first, and then Hamas can also do the pause, the delay, and continue to use Qatar and Turkey to put pressure on Tom Barak, who has the ear of the president, Witkoff and Kushner. And anytime Qatar and Turkey get involved in these talks, Hamas survives. Anytime they get involved in these talks, the regime survives.
There is indeed a pattern that we're seeing. I mean, looking at both the negotiations with the Islamic Republic and what's happening in Gaza, is the U.S. applying enough pressure to advance its own objectives, or is there a risk that both Hamas and the Islamic Republic are simply buying time?
We're allowing Qatar and Turkey to represent us at the table. Are they our interests, or are the interests of Iran and Hamas being served better by Qatar and Turkey? And I would argue that that's the situation right now. The United States needs to get Turkey out of this, Qatar out of this, Oman out of this, and just focus. This is an Israel problem, right? So U.S., Israel should be dealing with Hamas. Hamas needs to go away. When it comes to the regime, we need to see some backbone out of our allies, especially the Saudis. The Saudis continue to be okay with the U.S. putting all of its backbone into this, Israel putting all of its backbone into this. But anytime there's a glancing blow at the Saudis, they start to cave and start to put pressure on the U.S. I don't know how Saudi Arabia puts pressure on the United States. That shouldn't happen. I don't know how Qatar puts pressure on the White House. That shouldn't happen, especially with a Republican administration. But we all know the tentacles that Qatar has used to influence this administration. So it's the question you're asking me, is the U.S. serving its own interests? And I would say, no, we're not. We continue to take a backseat to our allies that are wavering, that are weak, that will turn to Russia and China in the next administration. And now's the time to take advantage of this. Hamas has never been weaker. Hezbollah has never been weaker. The regime has never been weaker. And we need to stop outsourcing our national security to allies in name only.
Now, if the talks with the Islamic Republic fail, which most experts expect them to, do you believe that President Trump is truly prepared to follow through with some kind of devastating military action, even in the face of Qatar and Pakistan and whatever other country is against such actions? And what would that mean for the region?
What we're hearing here in Washington, D.C. is that the president will greenlight Israel to go ahead and do what you were planning to do before. The decapitation strikes are not necessarily U.S. ones. It's the U.S. basically saying go, telling Israel to go. Take out leadership, take out those pillars that you think are supporting the regime, and the U.S. will support you. The U.S. will also conduct strikes. It won't be Israel alone, but Israel has the target package. Israel's ready to go. The United States does as well when it comes to infrastructure, bridges, things that will affect the regime and unfortunately the Iranian people. But enough is enough. The regime is the weakest it's ever been. The president is trying to hedge all this with midterm elections. He's either going to go very hard in November if the Republicans do well, or go very hard in November if the Republicans don't do well, because the president will be unrestrained.
All right. Well, we'll continue to update about that. But in the meantime, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast today, Mike.
Thank you, Emily. Thanks for having me.
75 years ago, a bold idea helped build a nation. Since then, Israel Bonds has helped power growth, innovation, and resilience across Israel. Generation after generation, investors have turned values into action. Now, it's your turn to be a part of the next chapter. Celebrate 75 years of Israel Bonds. Invest today at israelbonds.com.
Well, Israel's Supreme Court has begun hearing a landmark legal challenge to the law banning the UN Relief and Works Agency, or UNRWA, from operating inside Israel. ILTV's Kalev Ben David has the details.
A high court petition filed by the civil rights group Adala argues the law banning UNRWA undermines humanitarian assistance for Palestinians in Gaza, Judea and Samaria, and East Jerusalem, while raising constitutional concerns.
This is basically the first hearing in the Israeli Supreme Court arguing against the constitutionality of the ban on UNRWA laws and the amendments that took place after, through which we are arguing that the laws violate the basic right of over 2 million refugees in the West Bank, East Jerusalem and Gaza, to social security, food security, medication security, and emergency response.
Supporters of the law say the ban is a critical national security measure following the October 7th Hamas massacre. Likud lawmaker Boaz Bismuth, who sponsored the legislation, said the law passed with overwhelming support in the Knesset and reflects a broad national consensus.
Well, what I expect, first of all, I wouldn't expect even this session to take place. I mean, you're asking me what do I expect. This thing, what we're seeing right now, should not happen. And I repeat again, for people to understand, 92 members of parliament, coalition and opposition, voted for. This is a consensus, you must understand. The families, why did I pass this bill? I passed it for the families of those who were murdered on the 7th of October.
National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir also attended the hearing, accusing the court of overstepping its authority by agreeing to review the law.
אין גבול להתערבות של בית המשפט. אתמול התערבו בתנינים, היום רוצים להתערב בחוק אונר"א, שלשום ברפורמה המשפטית. חייבים לעצור את זה בבחירות הבאות, רפורמה משפטית או אין ממשלה.
The Knesset passed the legislation last year prohibiting UNRWA from operating inside Israel and barring Israeli officials from working with the agency. Israel has accused a number of UNRWA employees of taking part in the October 7th attacks and of maintaining ties to Hamas. UNRWA has dismissed several employees, but says Israel has not provided evidence to support all of its allegations. Now, the case is expected to become one of the most significant legal tests of the government's post-October 7th security legislation.
It's now 84 days until Israel goes to the polls. A new Channel 12 poll shows Israel's political race remains tight, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's Likud party gaining slightly, but with the anti-Netanyahu bloc still holding a clear parliamentary advantage. The survey shows Likud and Gadi Eisenkot's Yashar party tied as the largest factions in the Knesset, with 23 seats each. Opposition party's Naftali Bennett's Beyachad party remains at 14 seats, followed by Yair Golan's Democrats with 10, and Avigdor Lieberman's Israel Beitenu with 9. Within the coalition, Shas at 7 and Otzma Yehudit also at 7. Religious Zionism, led by Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich, gains a seat to reach 5. Despite those gains, the overall bloc balance remains unchanged. The poll gives Netanyahu's coalition 50 seats, well short of the 61 needed to form a government. The parties opposing Netanyahu hold 70 seats, including the Arab parties, suggesting that if these numbers do hold, the prime minister would face an uphill battle to secure another term.
At U Haifa International, academic excellence isn't just a standard, it's a way of life. With 21 English-taught master's programs, world-class faculty, and Israel's top national score in the Times Higher Education Impact Rankings, students grow in every direction.
If you really want to challenge yourself academically, grow in a very diverse community, and be immersed in such an important and significant environment, University of Haifa is the place for you.
Located on the stunning Carmel Ridge, the U Haifa blends academic excellence with a welcoming community.
U Haifa International has a great combination of top-notch academics with a great community of students.
Whether you're pursuing a one-year master's or diving into research, U Haifa gives you the tools, mentorship, and real-life insight to make your mark on the world. U Haifa International. Master your mind, live your Israel experience.
Israel's high-tech sector has scored another major victory, with global payment giant Visa agreeing to acquire Israeli fraud prevention company BioCatch in a deal worth $2.4 billion. The acquisition comes as Israel's technology industry continues to attract major international investment despite the war and a challenging global economic environment. BioCatch uses artificial intelligence, machine learning, and behavioral biometrics to help banks detect fraud, account takeovers, scams, and money laundering before transactions take place. Founded in 2011, the company has grown into a global leader under CEO Gadi Mazor, now protecting more than 760 million users, 1.8 billion devices, and serving more than 350 banks in 21 countries, including over 100 of the world's largest financial institutions. Visa says the acquisition will strengthen its cybersecurity, identity, and fraud prevention capabilities as AI-powered financial crime becomes more sophisticated. Well, from handcrafted goods to gourmet treats, every product in a Lev Ha'olam box tells the story of the people behind it. The organization connects supporters around the world with small businesses here in Israel, helping families and communities thrive. Joining us today in the studio is Rivki Green from Lev Ha'olam. Rivki, thank you so much for joining us today in the studio. I want to start by asking you, for our viewers who may not be familiar with Lev Ha'olam, what is the mission of the organization? What do you guys focus on?
Well, the name of our business, Lev Ha'olam, literally translates to heart of the world, and therein lies the heart of our mission. Lev Ha'olam, supports businesses in Israel, and at the same time connects people who support and care about Israel with the heart of Israel. The businesses that we work with are, generally speaking, smaller businesses, family-owned businesses, artists, artisans, farmers, all the way across Israel, from our southern Gaza border all the way to the northern border. And many of these businesses are located in more sort of vulnerable communities, more remote communities. As you can imagine, they have been really detrimentally affected by terrorism, by the last almost 3 years of war, declining, tourism, and the boycott that never seems to go away, as we've just seen in Holland, which is, disproportionately targeting businesses in Judea and Samaria. So what Lev Ha'olam does is we curate these beautiful surprise boxes by placing orders with these Israeli businesses. And the orders that we place are large. And so what that means for the business is they get a tremendous bump and boost. And, I have to say, over the past 7 years, I have seen businesses that, because of their orders from Lev Ha'olam, have been able to scale, have been able to grow. I've seen businesses move into larger production facilities or move into factories or buy new equipment, extend their lines, employ more people. And also, what I have seen is that sometimes these orders are literally lifesavers. They save businesses from closing their doors. I saw it during COVID. I've seen it multiple times, unfortunately, over the past 3 years. And so every single person who's a member of Lev HaOlam, it is in their merit. Honestly, it's in the merit of our incredible members that we're able to do this work and to support these businesses in Israel.
Now, you brought with you today one of the subscription boxes of Lev HaOlam. Can you explain a bit about some of these products that come in these packages?
With pleasure. You know, I really wanted to bring our current box, which is the Rosh Hashanah box, and it is absolutely stunning. But part of the beauty of Lev HaOlam is the surprise. So we never want to give away the surprise. So I brought the box that we shipped last month in July. And each box has a theme. So in this case, you can see it's themed around Israeli culture. Everybody knows Israeli street food, a delicious falafel, you know, or shawarma as you're walking on the street. So the theme of this box is pita, and we've got a beautiful recipe book so that our members can then create a taste of Israel in their homes. I have to tell you, the past few weeks we have received so many photographs from Australia to Europe to the States of our members showing us their creations, making pita at home, making a falafel festival. But when I look at this, it's more than these beautiful products. I mean, they really are gorgeous and everybody would love to get this. But I look at these products and I see the people behind the products, because Lev HaOlam is really about the people. And what I mean by that is, like, for example, every box we send this magazine from Israel with Love. We make one every single month. We tell the stories of the people behind the products. So when you eat those cookies, you're not just eating cookies, you're actually getting to meet Dani and Galit. And this product in particular, I really love because I think it tells the story of the people behind the box. This is a sun-dried tomato paste. It comes from a business in the southern Negev. It's in Kadesh Barnea. It's on the Israel-Sinai border. It's a very remote area. There's not a whole lot happening there. And yet there's this boutique factory that makes the most divine spreads and jams and tapenades. So definitely this order from Lev HaOlam benefited Kesem Hamidbar, which is called Magic of the Desert, the family that owns this business. They got a lot of benefit from this order. But they work with farmers in the region. So the tomatoes that are in this come from a farm that's just a few kilometers from their business. And I've actually met that farmer, and you go in and in the middle of the desert, here's this man growing the most amazing tomatoes. And by the way, pineapples, which is so far out. So he gets benefit. And the olive oil that's used in here. So it's from the olive farmers in the area. And I call that kind of the ripple effect, or the hidden benefit of a Lev HaOlam box. And then it's just really fun to receive something like this. It's a feel-good, because you know that doing good feels good, and it's doing good things in Israel.
Absolutely. Well, unfortunately, we do have to leave it at that, but I want to thank you so much for joining us today and for all the work that you're doing at Lev HaOlam. A really cool product, a really cool idea to bring a different box every month with different Israeli products to the user. And I do want to say as well, for anyone watching, that if you would like to join the Lev HaOlam community, you can do so by purchasing your first box and using the code ILTV for an additional 40% off. You can do so at the QR code on the screen. Thank you so much. All right, and now let's take a look at the weather forecast. Clear skies are expected around most of the country tonight, with temperatures reaching lows of 22 degrees Celsius or 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Then tomorrow we'll see clear skies alongside steady temperatures, seeing highs of 43 degrees Celsius or 109 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's a wrap for today's news. For the latest updates from Israel on all your devices, be sure to follow our ILTV channels and keep up with us on social media. That's ILTV_Israel on all platforms. You can also catch us on Screen IL with 24/7 live coverage. Stay informed with the latest news straight from the heart of Israel. I'm Emily Schrader. Be well, and thank you for watching.
I'm Deborah Klein, and you're watching ILTV News. But instead of just watching, you can now get the chance to access ILTV at its fullest capacity. Become a member on our ILTV YouTube channel and unlock insane benefits like priority comments in the chat room and even the chance to chat with me personally. about anything you want. Register as a member or upgrade to an insider. But if you're really feeling fancy, you can subscribe as an ambassador. Unlock ILTV's premium content and the chance for a special Q&A with not just me, but any of our ILTV staffers. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your full potential with the ILTV membership. Don't just watch the news, get behind the scenes, join the conversation, and become part of the ILTV family. Click join, and I'll be waiting for you.